Welcome to the Cafe Nightly Show. Today is Tuesday the 30th of January, 2023. Welcome in. I am your host, the Goldsmith. We're kind of in the Plaza. I say kind of because I didn't see anyone in there today. Plaza is not as popular as it could be. Love to see it pop up, and it did start. Buy back the block. It just got kicked off here. Of course, if you're in the Plaza, see you in the Plaza. But on Discord and YouTube as well. And of course, as we do kick things off, what a day it was. No announcements, but a lot more excitement than I expected to see over a sale for something that a bunch of people said nobody wanted. So, some interesting parts here, or interesting thoughts here with the sale today. The sale of the passes for the season passes for our very first pass, our very first season, with giving the people the opportunity to buy that premium pass, enhance the graphics or enhance some of the aesthetics without doing anything to core gameplay. It's an interesting concept. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. I'll touch on base on it today because of what we saw with the sale today and what we saw with the secondary definitely does influence what I think about the way the community views this or views these passes. So we'll get into that. Of course, no other major announcements today. We'll just take half a step back to look at what these passes are as well, to see what the sale was, and of course, look at how things have progressed on that sale, and again, like I said, moving forward to what is likely to be the case with this pass set. Kicking things off up front, obviously, all I'm going to do is give the disclaimer, and we'll get started right into it because that's all we've got. All we've got from today. All these opinions, especially myself, on mine and mine alone, shouldn't be taken as game strategy or financial advice. They don't represent the game of the team of Upland. Guests and contributors do come on. Same thing. They don't represent myself, the Goldsmith, the Cafe Nightly Show, Upland, or the team of Upland. No financial advice, no game strategy advice. That simple, that easy. If you listen to record, thank you so much for doing so. Try to keep up with the Discord comments as well as the comments on YouTube throughout the show. Afterwards, obviously, just following on things there, but always feel free to send me a DM in the game of Upland if you have questions, comments, or a project you're working on that you want to have highlighted or discussed or talked about. So getting on to what we are looking at today, we're going to share screen up so we can actually take a look at it, the announcement from yesterday. And an interesting thing I do want to put out here with the Frost Pass, no questions asked. This was a USD sale. We heard it yesterday. We've heard it a little bit today. People asking, is this sale a cash grab? Is this something that is just being done to make money? Maybe cash grab's the wrong word, but absolutely it's being done to make money. The game of Upland, the team of Upland needs to make revenue. There's some things that they do that aren't going to tie directly into USD and Upland's accounts. There are certain events that have prizes that encourage people to use UPX and to recycle UPX and do different things with assets. That results in very little actual USD spend. There's assets people earn and there's assets people win. That same thing. There's very little USD spend that's associated with that. Things on the UPX market that are happening, being purchased and done on the UPX market in the game of Upland or UGC. Upland, obviously, it's their job to support all of those activities. Nothing goes into Upland's nothing goes into Upland's coffer's pocket. If it's an UPX sale, it goes into the community pool, that fee that's going through. So this is something that 100% is a sale that's happening. USD is going into Upland's account, and people are getting something in return. Again, something that doesn't change or enhance gameplay, just like we have seen before. You're not going to get to a treasure chest faster because you paid Upland $7 for a season pass. You're not going to be faster or quicker at minting because you paid Upland $7 for this pass. But what you can do is you can change the way that you represent yourself and the way you see Upland as you interact with it over that season. Again, is there value in that? I know people who spend up to $20, $30 a month, depending on the game, to have The battle pass. The battle pass allows you to earn little things along the way. You can have the non-premium battle pass typically, or a non-premium pass throughout the month. You buy the premium battle pass, you're getting more things as you earn points throughout the month, as you complete matches. And there's a lot of people who spend, like I said, $23 a month to participate in that, and it's just aesthetic. Those are skins. You can't sell them. It does change the way the game that you look at appears. It does change how people see your character in those games, and that's the same thing here. We're talking about drops of more or less skinning, things that are changing the looks of the way you interact in the game of Upland, potentially changing the looks of how your avatar presents itself in spaces like cafes, in spaces like the Upland Plaza, and being there to potentially put a frame. Again, these are all speculation, but I think this is likely what we're going to see. Potentially put a frame, a little different frame around your block explorer, so people can see that. People can see it around your block explorer as it travels around the map. And again, this is something that people can opt into and opt out of. It is for sale from Upland in USD only, and that is a key point here. But I do have to backtrack on saying that. It's a key point here because, as far as I knew yesterday, as far as most people considered, it was quite unlikely that we were going to see, or people did not think they were going to see, a strong market on the secondary for these passes. We know the passes are exchangeable. What we get in the form of those redeemables, those drops, are not going to be exchangeable. But we did see something interesting happen today. What we saw interesting happening today is a little bit of a market starting to develop around this Frost pass. People are buying these passes in USD. As I head here to the announcement, people are buying these passes in USD and flipping them into UPX. And as people have known, as people do know, you buy a property in one city, where you buy it in USD and you try to flip into UPX, so you have UPX for the next city mint, and you buy it at blank amount when you think you can sell it for quite a bit more in UPX, because there's a deviation between the UPX and the USD markets. Period. Simple. We know it's the case. But this is something interesting here because there's people who really, for many reasons, are not going to put $6 or $7 USD every month for something like this, for aesthetics. They value their USD the way they value their USD. There may be real world considerations where $6 or $7 is a lot for that person, especially since this is a global game. Good to see you, High Park Ninjas. Glad you're in. It could be a consideration where people in different parts of the world, or even here in the United States, could see that $6 or $7 as a $6 or $7 they can't afford to put in the game. Maybe they've put a little bit of money in the past, but now is not the time to do so. But they may have UPX. They may have UPX because they earned it, because they sold the property, because they have a bunch of properties in the game of Upland. I'll put my hands up. I've got a bunch of properties in the game of Upland. I get dividends on a daily basis, but I'm not always putting $6 or $8 or $10 or $15 a week into the game of Upland. But I do have the equivalent and then some of UPX that I earn every week. Again, if you're talking about the 1,000 to 1, I've got a decent amount of UPX that I'm earning on a weekly basis that I could apply to buying a property or potentially buying map assets in UPX. Or, thank you to free market, I could spend that same 20,000 UPX plus or minus and go and buy something that was originally a $7 pass because I don't want to put the $7 in. And we've seen a little bit of that. We've seen a little bit of people going and buying the USD, trying to exchange the passes or sell the passes, and then because the passes is an NFT itself, and then when that person has that pass, then they can sell it. Or sorry, wow. Once the person has the pass that they bought, then they can burn it. Once they burned it, obviously they're locking in the ability to get a badge, a purchase badge. They're locking in the ability to get these drops on a weekly basis. And even though they never bought it in USD because either they could not justify the $7 or they didn't have the $7 to put in, well, either way, poof. Now they're in that same group. Now they are getting the premium content. And I think this is an interesting thing, an interesting story, because we have talked about this, the concept of the deviation between the USD and OPIX markets. As that continues to slide, we still have some concerns about bringing those two and righting that ship. But as of right now, um, it's enough of a profit that people are willing to take USD and put it into the game of Upland. There's enough of a deviation to say, and put it into the game of Upland. Again, it's not on a 1,001 basis, but they're putting it in solely to get UPIX out. And the person who has a bunch of UPIX, they cannot be, or they choose not to be in the USD side of things, but they have enough UPIX to justify, or they have enough interest, I should say, in the product to justify paying that 20,000 UPIX for it. And again, as a mechanism or a workaround on there not being an UPIX model, I'm right for it. As long as things like this follow the rules of the game, follow the intent of the game. People aren't trying to use multi accounts or play around with things. I'm all for it. This is part of the free market. This is part of the open economy. This is why we have those variety legit shops. I know people that I spend a decent amount of time with here in the upland community, people who are regulars. They have a variety legit shop, and sometimes they say, "Why would I do this? Why would I have a variety legit shop?" There's certain things that like those passes that are just going to be burnt or exchanged. You can exchange them or trade them between people before they're burnt, which is very interesting. Once they're burnt, obviously I can't send you whatever the little sparkly snowflake effect is for well, look at this. That could be a little sparkly snowflake effect on your Ready Player Me avatar as you go through the cafe or go through a plaza. So very cool that this has happened. And I'm just taking a look here. I want to see if I can share this screen because Barco, you made my job easy. Take a look at that. The Frost Season Pass seems that Tuesday burn starts next week. Can't exchange that. Yes, you're absolutely right, Barco. Tomorrow we're told that is the first burn, which means the snapshot is next Tuesday. But burn can happen between now and next Tuesday. As long as you burn before next Tuesday, that's when you're going to be in that snapshot for the release. And then let's take a look. Let's take a look at this image. Please confirm that you wish to list Common Pass 2024, 2024 for the Frost Pass Common, for the sale price of 25,000 UPIX. You will get 25,000 UPIX. You may remove this item from sale at any time. Boom! There you go. It is able to be listed in a shop, and that is in the Variety Legit shop. So we do have a purpose of the Variety Legit shop. When you have these passes, that's the best great place to buy and sell them. Get them in that Variety Legit shop if that's what you choose to do. And it's interesting. It's interesting to see where people are trying to get UPIX and they're trying to buy it as cheaply as possible, and they've got some USD in their pocket, and that's what they're doing. That's how they're handling it. And the same thing on the other side of that market, that people do have a demand for this. They may not have the justification or the means to spend the USD, but they do have a demand, and that's the reason why we've seen people buy multiple passes. And it was the joke is, why would you buy a multiple pass? You buy a multiple pass only if you immediately plan to sell one of them, because you're really only going to get use case out of one. It's an open edition, so it's technically unlimited. There's Upland set 50,000 of these things aside. Please don't buy 50,000 of these things as a community. There's not enough people to need them, so I don't think it's worth buying 50,000. But they have the potential. Upland has the potential, has created the potential for 50,000 of these things to be sold. They're calling it unlimited, so it is not really designed to quote unquote sell out. It is designed to have as many as people, or the market, I should say, determines it needs. And the only reason for a person to buy more than one is if they're going to sell it on the open market to somebody who wants to buy it in UPIX instead of USD. Because why would you buy it in USD? Because you can come and buy USD from Upland. Pretty simple, pretty easy, and very much something that we've seen happen with other things in the game of Upland. What I do want to do is touch base again on some of the rules and dynamics here. As I mentioned, the sale is ongoing. It's going on currently. The burn starts tomorrow through theoretically the rest of the season. In reality, what that looks like is you do want to burn theoretically as early as possible, or at least before the first snapshot. If you burn after the first snapshot, you can't go retroactive. You can't burn after the first snapshot and say, I want the items from the first snapshot. Nope, you got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to earn it anyways. So keep that in mind. And then, with this as well, we do want to keep in mind that we are also looking at this being, if I look at the information and I look at the details, it says 2024. This is the 2024 Frost Season Pass, aka there will likely be a 2025 Frost Season Pass. It may operate differently. It may cost a different amount. It may work a little bit differently, but it will be its own pass if we continue to have the pass structure. So keep that in mind. You're buying it for this year and not for next. The other couple things again on here, $6.99. The reason why we see the word fixed here and why the word fixed here is important, I don't think it's because they're guaranteeing a $6.99 for the December, for December 2025, again, year and a half from now, or you're almost 2 years from now. They're not guaranteeing that when that pass goes on sale, it's going to be $6.99. It's instead to say, if you buy it at the beginning of the season, you burn it right away, you get more drops. If you wait and you buy it the last week of the season, it's not going down. The price is not going down. There's not a discount. It's not a holdover or leftover. You pay full price. And yes, you get less drops out of it because you didn't start early in the month. And that is potentially a downside for somebody coming into the game and buying one their first season. But it is also a reality that if you're the game of Upland now and you want to do this, do it now. Don't wait till the end of the month. Keep that in mind. The rarity here, the uniqueness, as Upland kind of puts out here, different cosmetics will have increasingly rare and unique, will maybe become increasingly rare and unique. And this is going to be something theoretically with exclusivity here. These are non-exchangeable. These are decorative only, and so far it looks like these may be continued to be usable in future seasons as we get forward and move forward in the game of Upland. It's just never going to be something you can sell to anybody else. When we talk about the aesthetic, the cosmetics that you get on these drops after burning that pass. Key thing here is, again, it is for sale throughout the entire season. If you can't justify it today, you can't justify it next week, but you can justify it at the end of the season. Buy it and get the drop you're going to get for it. 9 a.m. PT every Tuesday is going to be that snapshot. So next Tuesday, 9 a.m. PT is the first snapshot, which means the first drop will happen shortly thereafter. You are going to, again, burn one pass. Don't burn more than one as an individual. I don't think you're going to get double benefit. Keep that in mind. And otherwise, I'll put this forward that I put forward yesterday, and I'll put it forward again if I have to later. That this is a part of the game that Upland is doing and trying to diversify the means of revenue. There are people who have talked about wanting to be able to customize some of the graphics in the game of Upland. People who've wanted to have, again, a premium experience. I pay a little bit to have this thing that's not exchangeable. Maybe that's going to be a wearable. Fingers crossed. Wearables are awesome. Maybe that's a wearable in the Plaza space or in a cafe. I can represent myself a certain way. I can't use it like an asset. I can't sell it. I don't have a mint number on it, but it is a way of me having something enhanced that you might not have. I might be a really cool, ugly sweater. Who knows? That's moving forward in future years. But that is going to be something that a lot of people are willing to put a little money in for. So that is something that we are going to see a lot of people with smiles on their faces. And I've already heard a couple people say just that. It's this is something they've wanted to have for a while. they personally can justify the $7. And as we now know, if you can't justify the $7, you may be able to just buy it in UPX on the open market. I want to also put out on this that as this iterates, or as we iterate with seasons, I should say, this is not going to be something that ties into the other iterations of seasons. Some of the other iterations of features in the future of the game are going to include things like contests between cities, how you interact with contests or with events to earn increased earnings on properties. That's not going to be tied to this graphics enhancement. That is going to be based on doing certain things during a certain period of time in future seasons. I can see this being a lot of fun. That portion would be a lot of fun. I can see the art on that being a lot of fun. I just want to make sure the two don't conflate. The two aren't the same, and people aren't paying to win these contests by buying this, or people aren't being penalized by not buying this kit. This is more for you. This is for what you want to look at and what you want to display to others. So simply for that, today did go very smoothly. And when I say went smoothly, I was surprised by how many of these passes sold. I haven't gone back and checked the number of the passes that sold, but earlier in the day, there was over 500 that were sold, which is kind of interesting. This is an open flow. People can mint as many, buy as many as they want. Some people have bought more than one. Obviously, we had that discussion, and we went over some of the realities there. But it is always good to see that you have that fast response. This does remain open. People can think about it between now and next Tuesday and still get the max benefit, which is all the weeks that anyone else is going to get of drops. The buying it later in the month can still happen, or later into the season can still happen. It's just going to keep in mind that you're never going to be able to go retroactive on the drops. For this week moving forward, we're going to be seeing maybe more of these sales go through. We see 600, 700, 800 of these creep up. It does tell me that there's a number of people who are interested in this. And I think that's very much the case. And part of what they may be interested in is, obviously, don't forget, there is a badge that is going to be part of it. The badges, as I mentioned yesterday, and I will mention if I need to make it clear, I think that is not an issue with a badge that people can pay money and get. I think that having a listing or provenance of something that says this is based on buying blank package, as opposed to the ones that say earned, as opposed to the ones that are winners of a contest, that is fine by me, so long as there's that differentiation. I think there will be. I think the community will be able to see the difference between them if Upland has the language in there properly moving forward, doing this type of thing. And then otherwise, I'm looking forward to more to come. I do want to, and again, it's kind of counts because it's not a official announcement, but it's my announcement. I did something today that I've been waiting to do for the month. I did not start all of my totems on day one. I started one of my totems on day one. I started with the rest of my totems later because I wanted to get a better development. But I'm officially there. I've been waiting for it. It's the month's almost over. On balance, over and across all of my totems, I'm finally at a net yield. And that doesn't mean or guarantee that I'm going to have a specific net yield at the end. It's just taken me almost 2/3 of the month. I started some of my totems later. It took me almost 2/3 of the month to get to a profit with the particular mix that I have of totems. I was not perfect, but once I knew how to be perfect, I was pretty close. And B, depending on the mix of what you have for life forms, the pay curves are different. How much it pays out at what part of the month is going to be potentially unique to that totem. So I definitely do. Excuse me. I definitely do want to keep that in mind. I do want to put that caveat out there. But drum roll, kind of a late drum roll. Yes, I did make the profit. I did get to the point where I'm making a profit. And if I start losing at this point, to be 100% honest with you, if there's ones that are going negative in the curve, I'm probably not going to keep feeding them because I've taken as much profit as I'm going to out of some of them. I'm moving towards the end of the month. If it really does have a dip that's going to dip into the loss, I'm probably not going to keep going. But there's some that are just now paying an increasing profit. So I obviously want to rely on those to continue to increase my profit. And hopefully, fingers crossed, as I get into the end of the month, I can get at least double what I put in. And we'll see. We'll see how that works out. But I definitely do see that we're in the profit portion of the month. We've crossed that line. And I think a lot of people in the same boat as me. The more learning curve you had to work over in the beginning of the month, the less you might be right there with me. And the lower the learning curve, which people at a lower learning curve than me in some cases, they might be further along the line here. They may have hit profitability a couple of days ago, especially if they started all of their totems on day one or hour one. So with that, I'm excited to see what happens here as we end into the last couple weeks of the totem simulation. I do want to put a little note here because we've talked so much about totems. Always worth recapping. If your totem is currently inactive because it's dead, it wasn't fed, or you forgot about it, or whatever it was, it's not dead. It's hibernating. It's sleeping. It's taking a nappy nap. It's going to be back next cycle, and you will be able to, with your ability to read spreadsheets, so long as you can read spreadsheets, you will be able to more accurately feed your totem next cycle. Keeping in mind, the feed amounts and the cycles, or the cycle length, the interval lengths may change because there is the opportunity to change some of the dynamics into the next cycles. And then secondly, you know, do your own research. If you're using somebody's table that they put together and provide for you, make sure it works. Make sure it works for you before you put all of your effort, all your days and nights into getting fed at the right time. But with totems, it is interesting to be headed into that profitability zone and seeing what we end up at the end of the month for profits. And I'm very much looking forward to that. But otherwise, not a lot else going on in the Upland today. Looking forward to a few more things later in the week. We do have next week. We do have the big game, not this weekend, the following weekend for the NFLPA, or for the NFL, I should say. And with that said, there is a contest next week, so we'll get into that and make sure people are ready to go. Hyde Park Ninjas asks, if you hold the pass until next year, can you burn for the 2025 season? That's a great question. I think the answer is a strong no. The reason why I say the answer is a strong no, with the giving a little bit of a side, I do not know that. I have not asked it and got that answer. But the reason why I suggest or think that that's a no is because if you look at the pass itself, it says 2024 right on it. I would take that to mean that your redemption period is specifically tied to the year that you're in. Okay, perfect. Thank you, God. God said that that's a confirmation. That's a strong confirmation. The answer is no. If you hold on to a 2024 into 2025, there will be no burn dynamic. There'll be no benefit to try to burn that then. And again, this is confirmed by X1 per God. So thank you, God, for giving me that confirmation. Thank you, God, for giving that confirmation to Hyde Park Ninjas. But again, this is something that we talked about before on these, where burning them is going to give these items short term here. That badge is going to be there forever. It's going to stick around one way or the other. It's going to maybe say 2024 Frost. It's maybe going to stack. We don't know that yet. We've got hopefully more answers coming up here shortly, but it is definitely something that is going to stick around with you. So if that's what you want, if you want something lasting, if you want to potentially pay for it, you have that opportunity. But for tonight, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for being part of the conversation. As always, we do open the floor up for conversation in Discord if that's where you are after the show, for anybody who wants to jump in and say anything or have any conversation or ask any questions. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. And as always, if you are in Discord, please feel free to unmute your mics. The floor is yours.